So we've got a question here. We want to sum from x equals 1 to 50 all the values that's inside these brackets. 5x squared over 2 minus x over 10. Now, the first thing I would do here is I would use my summation rules in terms of these two terms inside here. What I could do is the difference between the terms in the sum. What I can do is I can do the sum of the first term minus the sum of the second term. So we'll rewrite this showing that. So we now have x equals 1 to 50 of this term here, 5x squared over 2. And then what I can do is I can subtract it with this term here. Now what we've done here is we've split this up in terms of the two different powers. So I've got x squared term here and an x term here. As x is the variable that we're trying to sum, x equals 1 to 50, I've then split it into two different sums. So now x equals 1 to 50, same range of x over 10. Okay, now there's still more we can do here before we try and work out the sum of the x squareds and the x's here and then find our difference. What we can do is, here we've got basically a multiple here of 5 over 2 times our x squared. As it's summation, the rules of summation allow us to bring this 5 over 2 into the front of our sigma notation. And the same here, we've got 1 over 10 times x effectively. So that 1 over 10 is a constant multiple. So we could then also bring that out to the front of this sigma notation here. So let's do that on the next line. So now we've got x equals 1 to 50. 5 over 2 I'm going to bring out to the front here. And then we've got x squared. So that is still equivalent to what that is. And then we'll do the same with this term. So we'll subtract, bring the 1 over 10 out of it. And then we have x equals 1 to 50. And then all we're left with then is just the x. So this here is equivalent to this, and this here is equivalent to this. They are still the same. They will still be the same value. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is do the sum of our x squared terms and the sum of our x terms. So we've got rules that we can use for our summation of x squared terms. So if I just write this as x equals 1 to n of x squared, that's equivalent to 1 squared, if I just put a line there, 1 squared plus 2 squared plus 3 squared all the way up to n squared. So whatever our value is for our n. That will then give us a formula we can use, which is n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 6. So long as we know this number here, we can use this formula to calculate the sum of our x squared terms. And what we know from this summation here, x equals 1 to 50, therefore our n will equal 50. So that's going to be a key part in working out our answer. So that's taking care of that. Now we've got sum all the numbers which are x from 1 to 50. So that one, our sum for that, x equals 1 to n of just x, which is equivalent to 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way up to n. So as in the n here, same as we got here. That is just going to give us a formula, n times n plus 1 over 2. So that's the two formulas we can use to plug in for our sigma notation. So let's put them into here. So now we've got 5 over 2 times our x squared. So let's go straight into what our n is. N is 50, so where we see an n, just put a 50. So then we've got 50 times 50 plus 1 times 2 times 50 plus 1. And then that's all divided by 6. So that takes care of that. And then we'll add, or sorry, subtract this one multiplied by 1/10. So minus 1 over 10. And then multiply that by n times n plus 1 over 2. So 50 times, let's go straight in with the 51 here, running out of space. That takes care of that one. Let's just put a line down there to keep that separate. Okay, now let's do another line here where we evaluate all our values here for these inside the bracket. So now we've got 5 over 2 with 50 times 51. And here we've got 2 times 50 plus 1, which is 101. And that's all divided by 6. And then we're going to subtract 1 over 10. And then 50 times 51 over 2. So that's as we'd written it before. Okay, so let's do some simplification before we put these values into a calculator. Always recommended, because you might see some things going on there to help you with getting to the answer. So 2 and 50, we cancel that out. And 2's into 50 go 25. And then a 6 here with a 51. Well, 3 will go into 51. So that will be a 2. That will be 17. And now 2 won't go into any of these. They're all odd numbers. And now here, 1 over 10 with a 50. So yeah, we can cancel that 10 out and just put the 5 there. So that will cancel out with those. So now we've got on this side 5 times 25 times 17 times 101. So that's all of these. And then divide that by 2. So that's one sum. And then subtract 5 times 51 over 2. Okay. Now plug these into our calculator. We'll get the following values. We'll get this one here will become 214,625. So that will become, let's just leave that as it is there. Let's just write it on the side. 214,625 over 2. Minus this one, well that's 5 times 51, we can do that in our head. That's 255 over 2. Okay, now plugging that into a calculator to get our sum, that will give us a grand total of 107,185. So therefore the answer to our sum, which I'm going to write here, equals 107,185. So there we have the answer to our summation question. X equals 1 to 50 of 5x squared over 2 minus x over 10 equals 107,185. Okay.